I'm actually Sister Mary Doris from the Bronx, New York, and I run a shelter for homeless mothers and their babies. I think the question that really impacted me was, not so much the question, the speaker was Cecilia. Her story in the Philippines of having delivered one of her babies in prison, and her fight against the government to protect young girls and from abuse, and how she was punished for that, her resistance movement, and even being called a rebel. A lot of courage that it took. And I look at the work that I do, there's a certain amount of courage that I need to be able to fight some of the sources around that, for example, any of the women that suffer from or have domestic violence in their life, and helping them to be able to speak their truth. But I think Cecilia's story really, really touched me so much that she actually survived that. So. Well, I think just the church's willingness to listen to the women's voices, not so much to be threatened by it, because I think sometimes it's considered as a threat, somehow that the women want to usurp the role of priests, but that's not where I'm coming from. But I would definitely want to see more involvement of women in decision-making in the church, in looking at the issues that the church is facing, such as sex abuse. I think the women would have, and I think whoever made the suggestion today about having the women, like in the seminary, working with some of the young seminarians to help them to understand where women are coming from in all of that, and just in general, an openness. And I think coming here to the Vatican, the women who we are, just being allowed to come into this space and to speak what we're speaking. Just one little story. When I went to the synod in 1988 in New York, I stayed overnight in the seminary for 2 nights, which was like an absolutely unheard of thing. I actually slept in a room next to a bishop, and I thought, this is very unusual. It was like the first time I ever experienced an openness to women, and so that's what I would like to see, more of that. I don't know, I don't have any avocation to be a priest. I think I've never been to Rome, so I think going into St. Peter's for me, we actually got tickets. For the Holy Father presided over a reconciliation service that we went to. And being part of that, as I said, it was my very first time. And then we had individual confessions, and I thought, let me go to confession in St. Peter's. That would be a first. But when they asked me what my language was, and I said English, one of the young men took me into this little chapel and pointed me over here, and it was a cardinal sitting there, in a chair, and I made my confession to this. It was the first for me. But that was like a little side. But the thing, as far as this Voices of Faith, it was the welcoming that we received, coming from the area of the world that we come from, and intermingling with women from all over the world who are struggling with their own issues, and allowing those stories to impact us. And so we had a real feeling of unity. And so I'm grateful for that.